Hey everybody, welcome back. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. We've got a good interview for you tonight, Mr. Brian Boggs, who's a longtime CAF member. You don't see too many ID numbers under 1,000, much less under 500. But Brian has been on the site for really since the inception of the site almost. So this will be a fun conversation, and I guarantee you, if you like Wrightson, if you like that era of artists, you're going to find a lot of fun pieces to look at today. And so with that in mind, let me bring Brian into the chat here, and let's get this thing started. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Welcome, welcome to I'd say welcome to CAF, but I mean you've been here since the very beginning of of our site. But I know you've been collecting a lot longer than
You
that.
know, you know something I got to ask you though. When your
Okay,
site began, how did the word get out? Because I don't recall how I found out about CAF. You know?
probably only through the Comic Ardell, I imagine. I mean that was I assume you were on that, right? That message with the Yahoo group.
Yeah,
Maybe not. Okay, you were. Yeah, I thought you were.
yeah.
Only through there. I mean, it was funny when we launched the site. It was right around the same time that that other site launched, the Comic Art Community, and it's still out there today. But really, that was the only vehicle because Google wasn't the best search engine in the world, so it wasn't like we got indexed on there so that people could find us that way. And Facebook didn't exist at that time, and yeah, so it was the Comic Ardell Yahoo group or nothing. So that
What
was.
a godsend for the comic art community. It was
I
great.
know. Well, we got lucky. Timing and everything was good, and I think, but we just, I was a collector, and I knew what I wanted out of a site, and I think that we just got lucky and made the thing that worked for everybody. Certainly worked for the group of collectors that were hanging out on the Comic Art L. I think that was, having been, I was on that group for about 2 years before we built CAF, so I kind of knew what collectors were lacking, what we needed, kind of a home base and everything. And there was that long box site that was out there for a while that let you have 5 pieces on it. But I don't know. It was just it was one of those things. But you were there at the very beginning. Like there's a few other regulars that are still using CAF since the first couple months of the site. But you are one of them, so I appreciate that.
Well, I think my collection probably hasn't grown too much from the time I joined CAP, but that's because of wall space. It's just the way my collection is, where I see guys on CAP that's got thousands of pieces of art. I'm amazed, awed. It's like, but my wall ain't that big, and I got to display everything. That's my thing.
Is that how it works? I mean,
Yeah,
if you own it, it has to go on the wall?
yeah. Because I was a comic book collector for Christ 20 years before I got into the art,
Mhm.
and I found comics weren't being looked at for like 5, 6 years. They're sitting in a box somewhere, and you don't even look at them. And it's like, if I'm putting money into something, I want to be able to see it on a regular basis. So
Mhm.
I'm not into the art, into the portfolios. I'm into it's got to be plastered around me so that when I walk in, yeah, here it is. And I got room for like maybe one or two right now. And that's about it.
I don't know, I'm gonna go full screen here because it looks like you got some space there behind you. I mean, it's not a lot, small pieces of art, right?
Yeah, yeah, some small. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, that's kind of the Wrightson wall back there right behind me.
I can tell. I was trying. I recognize one of the pieces. Some of the other ones, not so much. But I do believe all of those we're going to look at tonight when
Yeah,
we talk about
you certainly will. Yeah.
Awesome. So, we always start these things out by just kind of getting an overview on how you got started with collecting. Clearly, comics it was a part of your habit early on, but
Well, I was born in the mid 50s, so the Marvel and the Silver Age was my heyday in the 60s. There I was 7, 8, 9 years old, and comic books and gun cards and everything like that was just so huge back then. But then, gosh, around age 12, we got ready to move, and I was a big boy then. I gave everything away. All my GI Joes, all my comic books, the baseball cards. I gave it all away to a kid on the next street. And my parents should kick me in the ass and said, "Get over there and pick that up,
take them
and
back.
bring it back." But they didn't, and so I rue that. But we moved on, and
Hmm.
then as I got a little older,
They didn't
I
have room in the
came.
car for the toys, though. Was that the idea? Or
Pardon me.
They didn't have room in the car for the GI Joes, and
No, they had room. It was just my mindset. I was like, I'm moving. I'm a big boy. I'm going to go to junior high now, and just some
oh,
kind of
you
brain
were moving
thing.
on up.
You know?
All right, I get it.
Yeah, and I regretted it later, obviously, and really regret it nowadays. The collection I could have had, but during the 70s there, after I got out of comic books, I was still into the magazines, like, Eerie and Creepy, Monsters Unleashed, Dracula Lives. They were a little more oriented towards young adult teenagers, I think, than the actual superhero comics at the time.
Mm.
And so I was always into that. Um, Probably around the late 70s when I finally started getting some, usable income, getting ready to get married, things like that. I was in a bookstore and I was picking up some paperbacks and I seen a cover of Red Sonja #1. And, I was still into fantasy reading and seeing Red Sonja #1. I liked redheads to begin with. And here she's in armor. And I was like, wow, what a great looking comic book. So I bought that, and then I'm looking at the ads in the back about what comic books were worth and all that. I'm seeing all the stuff I gave away back then I was worth, and it just kind of like just took off. And I started collecting comics heavy, trying to get all the Spider-Man that I had, from Amazing Fantasy on up. Daredevils I was really heavy into. And yeah, that was it. And I bought a couple sizable collections in the late 70s and started setting up for small shows in the Detroit area. Uh, I don't think we had any large shows until like 1989 when Motor City Comic Con come along. Before that, it was just, 20 tables in a VFW hall, a KFC hall, that type of thing. And so I was setting up in a few of those, and that was fun at the time. And that's where my flyer came in. I had to create a flyer to get into the whole comic book theme type thing. And we didn't have computers and digital and this and that, so everything was like with an architectural stencil, the lettering. But the most important thing, I had to pick a picture to put on it. And I was always into all the art books in the late 70s, the Frazettas, Brian Froud, Chris Achilleos, Boris Vallejo, Jeff Jones. I had a lot of the art books, and I'm thumbing through all those trying to figure out what do you want to put for your flyer. And I latched on to Bernie Wrightson's Monster Men from the Edgar Rice Burroughs portfolio that came out in 1974. And I think I put a cute little caption on there. I'm sorry, little girl. I only collect comic books and non-sport gum cards. It kind of went with the drawing really well.
Hmm.
And so, and a funny thing about this flyer is, like I said, I only set up for probably 4 or 5 shows in Metro Detroit area, 20 table type shows, nothing big at all. And here, like 5 or 6 years ago, I'm on the internet and I find a comprehensive list of Wrightson's artworks. And my flyer is listed in that comprehensive list of Brian Boggs' flyer. It's like, are you kidding me? How they come up with that, And yet there it was on the internet.
Wow, that's funny. So did the flyer, were people like beating down your door, trying to get, sell you their stuff? I mean, you got your phone number on here and everything from back in the day.
I
You,
think I might have picked up one more collection from it. Yeah, that was about it. Nothing big, but it was fun putting it together at the time. Made me feel like I was starting to get involved into the hobby nicely.
sure. Was it, as far as picking up the art, you said you saw Wrightson list, but what's the first artwork you got? Was that at a Knights of Columbus Hall pickup, or where did that happen?
No, really, because of the purgatory of larger comic cons in Detroit area, in 1985, I seen Chicago Comic Con was having a huge show, and I mean that's pretty close to Detroit. I got a round trip airfare for $50. The show was at the airport itself, at the hotel at the airport, and all my favorites were out there. Dave Stevens was out there. What a great guy Dave Stevens was, and Bernie Wrightson was out there. Obviously, that's what we really want to see. Lynn Wein was out there. Mike Kaluta, Howard Shaken, just a plethora of comic creators that were on my heart. So Yeah, I went out there with $500 in my pocket, thought that was a lot of money. I had my comic book want list. I took my copy of House of Secrets 92 to get autographed. And I also lugged along my copy of A Look Back. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with A Look Back, Bernie
I am.
Wrightson's rip. Okay, well, imagine carrying that through the airport, the entire show, along with the other stuff you're going to pick up along the way. But I
Hmm.
didn't know if I'd ever even see Bernie Wrightson again in Detroit or anything like that at the time. So I certainly want to get his autograph on that too. So that's kind of where I fell into my first piece of artwork was there. So went around the show. It was a fantastic show, and I remember taking House of Secrets '92 to Len Wein, and he looked at it and he looked up at me and he goes, "You sure you wanted this autograph? You know, it's going to be a valuable comic book someday." And I said, "Well, it's never going to leave my side." So yeah, I wanted autograph. So he put to Brian. I wanted it personalized. And then later on in the day, probably about 2 in the afternoon, getting close to the time for me to need to head back. I was starting to sweat a little bit because I hadn't seen Bernie Wrightson yet. He hadn't come back to his vendor table. They had, I guess, a list of things he was doing. He might even been the host of the show at the time. I'm not positive on that, but he could have been like the special guest star of the show. And anyways, he finally got back, and while I was waiting there, he had like all of his portfolios of art laying on the table. And, I never seen that before. On the small shows we had in Detroit, nobody brought original art. And you couldn't really see original art in the Comic Buyer's Guide to Comic Fandom. I mean, that was a great paper, but you couldn't physically see it. It didn't do nothing for them. But they're seeing Bernie's stuff on that table. And I think I had like $200 left in my wallet at the time. I'm thumbing through things, and he's got penciled prices in the corners of all the artwork. And the stuff I was thumbing through was like, whoa, amazing stuff. And then I ran into there's actually the second page to Revolting Rhymes. Peter, Pumpkin Eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. And it
Hmm.
was $175. I still consider myself a newlywed. So I thought, a wife will get a real kick out of this one. I'll bring this one home. And you can see the top left panel there. That was cut out. I have no clue and have never seen what the original panel might have looked at, but obviously he was dissatisfied and he trimmed it out and pasted in a new panel. But there was 4 pages to the story. There was also in the Revolting Rhymes, he had a Hickory Dickory Dock page, and he had Jack Sprat Could Eat No Fat, 2 pages to that, and 4 pages to the Peter Pumpkin Eater. And so fortunately I was able to pick up the second page later, but we'll get in that in a minute. Down at the bottom, I don't know if we can see it on this, but I did have him, yeah, there we go. In silver, I had him personalize it to me because, I didn't know about original art at the time. This was like a first purchase. I was so hyped up about it. So I wanted to personalize, but at the same time, I didn't want it like over the art. At least I was smart about that.
Hmm.
And with the silver, kept it kind of tranquil looking. So in the future, it won't be objectionable to the next owner, was my thinking. Nowadays, I would never get anything personalized like this. I might get a signature on an autograph, but I wouldn't want it personalized.
Which one is this?
No, this originally appeared in Abyss #1, which was a fanzine that came out in 1970 or 71. Now, it could have been reprinted in Bad Time Stories. I think it was reprinted a number of times, but the original first time it was printed was in Abyss.
So you picked up just 1 page from him at that
At
first show?
that time, yeah. Like I said, I had 200. I paid 175 for this. I got his autograph on my House of Secrets and my book. And I had $25 to go kick around at the restaurant and thumb through my stuff waiting for the airplane and have a couple drinks and stuff like that. So what a great day. It was so memorable. And I'll tell you, Dave Stevens, I didn't have any art and have never had any art from this. Pretty pricey stuff, but as a person, I've never met anybody so congenial. He made me feel like I was the star of the show. He really did. He was You know, it's too bad he left us so soon. A great, great person. I was impressed.
I got to ask, so that first art purchase, how did you get it home?
I just carried it inside my book. You know, I had that big old hardcover to look
Oh,
back.
you put it in that.
So
Okay.
yeah, I tucked it in there, and it was almost a perfect fit. Just
Wow.
had to kind of protect the corners a little bit. So
Right.
that kind of worked out in that respect.
Well, that's funny. I mean, that's very, very fortunate. I mean, a lot of people weren't thinking about buying art in those days, but yeah,
I,
you
I certainly wasn't until, you know, I just seen it there and it was in my price range. And, you know, I was looking for one more good big bang thing to buy. I was thinking a comic at the time, but when I saw that, it's like, "No, I got to get this." And really, it was the original art bug didn't really take off for me there. I still collected comics for another 15 years or so before I got into the original art.
mhm.
And that was, I think, because of eBay coming along, the internet coming along, CAF coming along. Also, there was some venues for dealing and you know, wheeling and dealing in original art that wasn't available before. You know, so that was pretty cool. I found my second page of Peter Pumpkin Eater around 1999, 2000, somewhere in there on eBay. And when I got that one, that's the one that really set me off. So I mean,
But
it's
now
so dark.
this
I
this
mean,
was in with Brian, Bernie, when you were at the first show. So
I
did you?
didn't see this particular page. It could have been with him, but yeah, I picked it up on eBay, and I bought it with a very reasonable price at the time. You could get some good deals on eBay in the early years. You know, you really could. And when I got this, you know, the third page here, so I had the second page, had the third page, so two sequential pages with pumpkins, with zipatone, lots of dark inks. Everything is still perfect on it. You know, sometimes zipatones lift and things like that. Everything is just picture perfect on these pages. And that's when it really took off. I wanted to start getting more original art, and so I started liquidating the comic books because I really, you know, I'm a middle class guy. I can't afford to do both. So I started selling the comic books and turning around and buying original art. And again, it kind of fit my mindset of display. You know, the comic books were just tucked away in boxes.
Right. I mean, so I assume prints never were appealing, even though that was big in the mid to late 70s, even in the 80s. That was a thing, but that never really caught on for you. Just that
No, not
art
at all.
purchase, and then 15 years later, you came back to it.
I
Now,
there is a guy on CAF that's got the first page to this, you know,
oh
the
really?
title page. Yes. And you can imagine how many times I've tried to contact him and twist his arm. You know, I had aspirations to maybe put all four pages together. I thought if I get title page, then I could really vehemently search for that last page. But you know, I understand his reluctance. Bernie Wrightson's a special artist, and they have a title page. That's pretty cool, you know.
Right, right. Well, at least you know where it is. Yeah, that's more than
Yeah, and I look at
more
it
than half the
often.
battle, and most people don't know even that, right? When they're looking for something like completing even a 4-page story.
Yeah, I've never seen the last page. You know, it's obviously got to be out there someplace. But
Mhm.
somebody has it. You know, send me a note, a picture of it. I'd just like to see it.
That's funny, but I assume you've got rights and set up as a keyword on Comic Art Fans, so if it ever appeared, you know about it.
Oh yeah, if it comes around, yeah, I'll find out. Got my sources, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's good. So, I mean, do you have a lot of friends in the Michigan area that collect art as well, or?
Sadly, no, no friends at all in my type of thing, and never really have had. I got to say, probably my closest friend in this lives in California, and I've never physically met him, but we've been friends online for 25 years. Steve Stasnauer, I don't know if you know Steve, but
I know I've emailed with Steve,
yeah,
but yeah,
he's a
I
great
don't
guy.
know if I've ever. Yeah, I may have met him, but I know the name, so I've contacted him for?
He's a Wrightson buff and he's an Edgar Allan Poe buff. So we crossed wires a couple of times in that respect. We both like both. So.
So have you ever, you talk about wheeling and dealing. I mean, did you ever, have you sold a lot, or are you more of a buyer than a seller?
Mostly buyer. I sell to buy. Whenever I upgrade, obviously I'm going to have to sell a couple of things. I don't just have the cash anymore, especially being retired now.
Right, right. Rich Danny's makes a good point. George Hagenauer. Have you ever met him? I think he's more.
I know he's from this area, and he sets up at some of the shows, but I've never met him. No.
Yeah, I'd have to ask him exactly where he's located, but I mean, if you're ever able to go to his home, from what I understand, he's probably got thousands upon thousands upon thousands of original comic book and illustration artwork. Very, very eclectic minded stuff, but he's quite the historian, and he's a good person to know in the hobby. I mean,
they've had this huge book fest at the Eastern Market in Detroit, and I've seen his name affiliated with that book fest, setting up there with that type of material that you're referring to.
Right, right, yeah. George is, if you look in his CAF gallery, you'll get a feel for what he's into. But he's written for CFA APA in the past. Rich mentions he goes up to Jeff Singh's get-togethers up in Canada, so he must be a little further north than where you're at. But still, he'd be a cool guy. There's not many people I'd say, man, I'd love to get a tour of their home and the collection, but George would be one of those guys I'd love to see, because he collects everything from, like cartoon illustrations, newspaper illustrations, gaming art. I mean, you name it, and of the era that you like, and definitely I like too. Anything from like the mid 60s through the early 80s is kind of his sweet spot, if not even earlier. He has a lot of like very vintage material, old comic strip stuff, Rich says. Yeah, definitely. But a cool guy. But we're here to talk about you, Brian. So
I don't mind talking about George either. You got a collection like that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, well, we gotta, you gotta kind of keep, like you had mentioned that earlier before we even started when we were just talking about doing the show, that you didn't have a lot of at least close friends nearby that talk about the hobby. But yeah, George would be a good one if you ever were able to figure something out. But so in the late or mid to late 90s, you get back into collecting then. So that's when you just liquidate the comic book collection and go all into the art. But were you framing those pieces as you were getting them, the ones that you knew for sure had to be on the wall?
Yeah, right from the get-go. At first I was using a framing shop, and then later I found, I could just order the stuff and kind of do it and put it together myself. So yeah, right from the get-go I was framing. I don't think I ever had anything in portfolios or anything like that. Got a couple of rooms I got dedicated. I got a computer room on the other side. There's some pieces over there, but most of it's in the comic book room. You got to have your comic book room.
Sorry, I'm just reading the chat a little bit, but no, that's cool. So, but it doesn't look like you sold everything in your collection. I mean, you have a case behind you, and and I think I remember when you sent me that photograph of you, I could see animation cells and a few other things. So you haven't like totally limited yourself to just collecting comic book artwork.
No, I got some non-sport cards, including some old stuff from like the early 1900s. Still a lot of comic books. I've got all the House of Mystery and House of Secret comic books, and my Conans and my Shadows. I kept all of those. I was never too much into the superheroes. Again, other than when I was a kid, but even reading the superhero stuff, other than Batman and Daredevil, I like the Batman stuff a lot. It's so dark, and Daredevil is pretty cool still, but the other superhero stuff it's not for me. I'm more into Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Sin City, Mark Schultz, Xenozoic Tales, the other offshoot type stuff. I find that appealing, I guess.
No, well, nothing wrong with that at all, right? I mean, it's the hobby is very diverse in terms of art, right? And
something for
definitely,
everybody.
right, exactly. Even today, I mean, when you look at in indie artists or small press publishers, doing things that aren't necessarily spandex heroes and those sorts of things. I mean, I know we're going to see a Frank Miller piece that kind of falls in a noirish kind of realm and stuff. So no, I mean, I think that's the great thing about the narrative arts. It covers everything: sci-fi, fantasy, superhero, you name it. It encompasses all of that, and comic strips. I mean, it's a wonderful genre to kind of play in, because it really, there's romance, right? I mean, you literally are covering just about every facet to pop
Absolutely.
culture. And yeah, and that's part of the joy, I think, in all of that. But um so we've at least established Comic Art L and early CAF as kind of like ways for you that you found pieces. I mean, I assume you had relationships to certain degrees with not just the artists, but with some art dealers at that point in time.
In 2006, it's funny. I reached out to Simon Reed, who is on CAF and had a number of pieces of art for sale. And there's a piece that I acquired here just recently that he had back then that I eyeballed way back then. And that's the Jack the Ripper Dracula piece by Mike Clue that you'll show a little bit later.
Oh, right.
But anyways, he had that back in 2006 when I was perusing his site. But what I liked better is he had a Swampy page, origin page from issue number 5. And so I had a little money, and I wanted, and this is the story. I wanted to buy that page. So made a deal with him, sent a bank draft over for the money, for the full payment. The banks over there held it for 9 months, held on to the money for 9 months before they released the cash. So meanwhile, I'm out the money. The book's tied up. He can't sell. He's got other buyers that were interested over the course of time, but it's locked up with me. And we're both like in frustration. What can you do? And it was all because of 911. It's because the laws had changed on overseas transactions. And it was pretty freaky. About the time that he was sending me emails that, we just need to culminate this whole thing. We need to put a stop on this bank draft. It finally went through. Yeah, finally got that page. And I
Right.
had on the
He
page
didn't want
off
to
and
hold on to
on.
it that long either, right? I mean, that's tough. I don't think I've ever heard that before, where it's
Yeah,
taken that.
it was an ordeal, a really tough ordeal. And
Wow.
the dog just fell down the steps. I hope she's okay. Wife's checking on her.
Uh-oh. You don't
Yeah.
want to, well, you probably have the number to an all-night vet, but you don't want to have to,
Well,
you
you're just telling she's got a huge toy in her mouth, so I think that's why she fell. Okay, every day's a riot, man.
that's right. Hey, but you're retired, so it's okay if it's a riot. It's just, you just
As long
roll
as
with it
both
at that
feet hit the
point.
ground every day, that's a good
Hmm.
thing. Yeah, I'm good
Exactly.
with that.
So that's cool. I mean, I don't know if I ever really communicated with Simon, but of course, what was in his CAF gallery a lot.
He had a
He's one
lot
of
of
those
nice
people that
pieces.
used the site quite a bit early on, and was one of those people who used CAF as a marketing tool, which wasn't its original intent to be honest, but it worked. But as you saw, people utilizing it that way to kind of market their art for sale, and then we started working with some of the art dealers as well. It just kind of you know being able to be I don't know, a marketplace with the classifieds and things just kind of started making a lot of sense for folks to use the site that way, because we started realizing people were trading and stuff early on as well. Just they'd see something that they wanted, and they'd be making offers, and
It's an eye opener. I mean, we didn't have a venue
no,
like that before, so
exactly. No, not at all. That was the beauty of the internet. I'm fortunate. I feel always fortunate that I started making websites early on that we were able to do all this. But I see, hey, everybody in the chat, just so you know, we do see those numbers after your names as well. So I don't know what's going on. It must be a YouTube thing this evening. But at least, my name and Brian's name don't have numbers after them like all of you guys do. Or Marcus. Marcus doesn't have any numbers after his name. Marcus says you didn't used to put stuff on CAF unless you were selling. No. That was the long box was the one where they were always using it as a site to sell on. That was why we built CAF, was because typically you remember that the long box only let you have like 5 pieces of art at a time, and guys typically were only using it to post their pieces that were for sale. Right? If you go check out John Mancuta's, 5 pieces in his long box gallery, they were usually pieces he was marketing for sale. Or Will Gabrielle, same thing. So it's like whenever you knew there was something to look at, it was almost always something for sale and not anything in anybody's personal collection. And that was kind of the frustrating part. The Lowry Gallery, yes, exactly, Marcus.
Yeah.
But wasn't, I remember the domain name had like long box or something in it. I can't remember how they.
But
Yeah,
it was a little limited where, certainly your site has got a broader scope to it, a lot broader scope,
that was.
and it's built over the years. I mean, it just keeps building every year.
Yeah, we've had over 2 million artworks added to CAF.
Yeah, you got your OAX convention now. That must be awesome. Was third year
Yeah,
now or fourth year?
it'll be third year in
Third
February.
year.
Yeah, yeah, it's oh yeah, all the stuff is fun, Brian. It's getting to do stuff that you always think would be cool to do, and and get to be a part of, and here we get to do that. We have IC3 now, where we're working with independent artists as well, and we got the virtual con since the pandemic, and we're doing live streams now. So yeah, it's all just kind of branching out into different areas that are
Keeps
a
you
lot of
busy, don't it?
it does. It
That's a
definitely
good
does.
thing, though.
Although I did not go to New York Comic Con this last weekend. Most of the other team did, but from CAF, but Tatiana and I stayed home and did other things, trying to keep things going around here. But it is what it is. I did not. Hey, is that the squeaky toy? Is that
Yeah, that's a squeaky toy.
all
It's
right?
not too
'Cause
loud, is it?
it sounds like a bird chirping in your in your. Yep.
You'll probably stop in a minute.
Very good. But yeah, so anyways, back to collecting. So okay, so Simon Reed, I mean, where do we're going to look at some other pieces here, but where were most of those purchases done? You mentioned eBay. I mean, would you say that the majority of the pieces that you bought were through eBay? Because eBay was pretty good in the early days.
Yeah, early on eBay was really good. Yeah, I bought a number of nice pieces. One I really regret trading away. We might get into that one later. That one haunts me to this day. But yeah, eBay had a lot of good deals. And then, reaching out on CAF, and, then Heritage and, Comic Link started coming along. You got a couple of auction houses that were wheeling and dealing art, and so, yeah, it's all been good. Most of my comic books that can be liquidated are liquidated. The rest are keepers at this point in time. And it's
Yeah.
not very many, I'll tell you.
Well, before we say look at more art, I saw Rich Danny's actually posted on Facebook that he saw a Johnny Comet Frazetta that he really wanted, but he didn't have $18,000 to pick it up. And most of us don't have $18,000 to splurge on much of anything, but a Frazetta would have been a nice pickup, Rich. But yep, we all understand that. So Hero, I know I've got some artwork to look at, and let's see here. I got them in the order that you sent me the links.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense with this guy. I mean, this is, if you look at it, this looks like the same guy that was in the previous two links with the Peter Pumpkin Eater. And I think Bernie probably modeled a lot of his characters off of, from what I hear, Ichabod Crane from Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And this guy certainly looks like the other two guys in my artwork. So when I seen this, it's like, oh, I gotta have this. This is him stealing the pumpkin to bring home to put the wife in. It only makes sense. It's my dark
You got to find a
mind
big
working.
pumpkin, I guess, right?
Pardon me?
You got to find a big pumpkin.
Yeah, and I think maybe still looking around. Maybe he wants a bigger one, but it's certainly a pretty cool drawing. It's not very large. It's probably only like probably a 6x9, something like that. Ink wash. Bernie tinkered with a lot of that. Tinkered with a lot of different medias. But this is it's really cool. Frames up nicely. And again, the pumpkin thing. I'm into Bernie and I'm into pumpkins. And I guess I'm into Halloween, all of it. And that's why this kind of appropriate time of year to talk about this kind of stuff.
That's
right around
right.
the corner.
We did plan it in October for that
Right,
reason.
since birthday is October 27th. We got Halloween on the 31st. there you go. You know?
Exactly. Now, so this piece was well, where'd you pick it up? I guess we should ask.
I got this off of eBay.
Okay.
Um, I had no clue where it came from, where it had been, or even if it had been published. And just probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I finally found out that it was in Infinity 3, the first issue of that, which was some kind of fanzine. I don't have a lot of his fanzines. So it was in an Infinity 3 that came out in 1971. It was a portfolio page. Apparently, towards the back of the fanzine, they had like 4 or 5 like drawings, full page drawings like this. And this was the first picture in the portfolio page, but reproduced in black and white. Actually, with the wash tones was gray and white. You know, it really was a poor reproduction compared to what you see here.
Right. And it's not signed, but it's clearly clearly Bernie's work. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I
I mean,
got it framed, but I think it might be. I think it's got a B, his BW on the back. The way he used to do just a B period W on things sometimes.
mhm.
I believe that's on the back of this one.
Well, I'm sure when you saw the pumpkins and the same character, you had to have it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was no way anybody was going to beat me out on that one. I was going to have it, and I think I got it for a reasonable price, if I recall right too.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Now, this is a little different, right? I mean, this is a Tony Daniel piece.
Yeah, I tried a few commissions. Again, getting further into the original art, and I've heard horror stories about some of the folks with the commissions, taking a year or never even getting done, and the artist has got part of the money and all that. And I got to say, I had like 5 or 6 commissions done, and I don't think any of the artists ever took more than 6 weeks to get the artwork back to me. And Tony Daniel was one of those. It was about 5 or 6 weeks. I told him what I wanted done. He'd been doing the comic book called The 10th and another one called Adrenaline. And Adrenaline was like a Russian cyborg type super agent of some sort, but very cutesy, I thought, just the way he drew her. And so I asked him let's get the two ultimate antagonists together, Russia and Germany. And I don't want to be cutesy. I want the Red Skull representing Germany. I wanted Adrenaline representing, Russia. And I said, just don't be cutesy about it. I don't want anything that's fun. I want it menacing. And this is what he came up with. And it's cover quality. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it turned out nice. I've always loved Tony's work. I mean, especially the 10th when you first saw his stuff. I mean, those comics were gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
His style was really it was unique. It at least felt unique, for me at the time, because that's about the time I started getting back into buying comics after a little break after college. But no, I love his stuff, and a 5 to 6 week turnaround is a very, very modest amount of time to wait for a cover quality commission. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I was amazed at it. And though I don't have the piece any longer, but Alfonso Asperi, is that how you pronounce his name? Asperi, the guy from Portugal or Spain?
Uh, yeah, I think he's from Spain. Espiri.
Yeah, he died here like 5 or 6 years ago. But I requested a commission from him. Now it's an overseas commission, and I had it back in my hands within 4 weeks. 4 weeks, and he was elderly. It's like I couldn't believe it when it came in the mail. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So yeah, I've had nothing but good experiences with the commissions that I've had done, and certainly this one, it's a beauty. Kind of got slipped in on your picture of me, the mugshot. I didn't realize it, but some people might find parts of it objectionable. I certainly didn't mean that at the time. It's just Germany versus Russia. That's the way I was looking at it. And Tony.
Oh, on the mugshot image for the show?
Yeah, yeah, you know that
No, I'm
Facebook
looking at it. Yeah. Oh,
Facebook gets funny
right.
about Facebook gets funny about certain images and stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah, I have found that out.
Yeah.
I have a page for illustration art, and Yeah, I just found out I'd gotten some strikes back in the day for posting some images that like won awards, but they were modest nudity. And but I know I don't think I got a notification at the time, but I just got a notification like 2 days ago. You know, that something from a year and a half ago was considered objectionable.
I caught up with you, eh?
Right? Yeah, it's like wow, okay. So I just went in and yeah, no nakedness. That is right, Rich Danny's not at all. Um, anyway, so let's
So
see
we
what.
got, you know, with the Red Skull here, I mean, we got the Cosmic Cube, we got his
Mhm.
German Luger, we got the flag. I mean, it's there's nothing you can not like about this. I wonder what it would look like colored by somebody on a cover. You know, I mean, that would
Well,
be,
people do that a lot these days, right? They hire a colorist, and
yeah.
you know, commissions colored. In the digital age, it's real easy. I had a friend of mine had an illustration that he did, and we ran into a colorist at the Ocala Comic Con down here like a month ago, and he asked him if the colorist would do it, and you know, gave him a fair price, and he had it done in less than a week, and it looked beautiful. You know, it's like wow. You know, I don't, you know, when you have time, colorists probably are pretty quick. So yeah, but it came out, it was perfect. You know, the guy he showed me the work, and I was like, damn, that was pretty awesome. Let's see here. Now
Oh, okay.
this is Obar, right?
Yeah, this is a different piece. I have a Woodward Dream Cruise Mustang. It's a limited edition Mustang that I bought in '97. And our local comic book shop. Am I allowed to call out comic book shops?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, please do.
Big Ben's Comic Oasis in Allen Park. Okay. Uh, Big Ben's been friends with James O'Barr for years. James O'Barr lived in the Allen Park area as he was growing up. And I think as Caliber Press and The Crow was taking off, Big Ben's Comic Oasis was one of a good sized promoter behind the whole project. And they've collaborated together quite often, I gather, Big Ben and James O'Barr. But anyways, um, Big Ben's floor manager is a guy named Gary Banchik, and he's into Mustangs too. And so, you know, here I come in the shop. I meet Gary. He's into Mustangs. He's into comic books. We hit it off really well over the years. And so I come in one day back about 25 years ago into a shop there, and he's like, "Come here, Brian. Come on. I got something for you." And he takes me in the back room. I'm, what the hell's going on back here? And he pulls this out. He goes, look what I got for you. And I was like, oh, man, that's cool. I was like, how much you want for it? He goes, no, this is yours. Just take it. It's yours. We got it done for you. James O'Barr did it for you. Here you go. And I was like, oh man, how cool is that? And it's a good size piece too. It's, you know, it's 11 by 17, turned sideways. And, you know, my car is a Woodward Dream Cruise edition. So they got the Woodward and 8 Mile sign being bent. And the original Harley is like my dream. I love the original Harley. And so, you know, we got Harley and Joker on it. And just a lot of fun piece. But he didn't do the stripes on the car. There was no blue stripes. And fortunately, at the next Motor City Comic Con, guess who was going to be there? James O'Barr. And it's like, cool. So I took it back up to him. And I felt a little funny about approaching an artist with a redo, you know, especially a guy I never met.
Right.
And he was really cool about it. He's like, oh, yeah. So do you have a picture of the car? I said, yeah, here's a picture. I brought a photograph with me, took the photograph, took the art, and he dropped it off at the comic book shop, like, you know, a few days later. And I picked it up and he had the stripes in there for me. So super cool. And it's a piece that kind of goes with the provenance of the car now, because the car still only has less than 9,000 miles on it. And it's almost 30 years old. So it's
Jeez.
a babe.
Well, it's a fun gift. At the
Yeah.
you know that's it's so it's good to have friends in the hobby, right? I mean
Yeah, and
that
that was
does
gratis. It was,
up
you know,
every now
just
and again.
I couldn't do enough for the guy. I bent over for him, whatever he wanted, and the story doesn't end there. I wanted to show you one other piece which I didn't include before. About a year later, I come into the shop, and he's got this for me, and another James O'Barr piece. Says, "I
Oh, that's
want
great.
candy," and
That's like
yeah,
a
he had that
Patrick
for me. The same
Eagle
thing. He goes,
meets James
"Brian, here you
O'Barr.
go. Just take it and get out of the shop. Hurry." So
I
pretty
love it.
cool, huh?
Yeah, no. I think it's awesome. It's of the era. That's for sure. That's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was, and
No,
it's
no
like,
redo there, right?
no, no, not at all. Pretty cool stuff though. It's nice, you know, and people go out of their way to do something special for you. That's unforgettable.
Yeah, no, uh, I got to have lunch once and dinner once with Obar. He's a character, and I love his work too. Did I get him to do any sketches for me? I don't think I have. I have one published piece by him, but I just love his stuff. It's anything you see. If I see James O'Barr's name, I always have to look at it. What even if it's just like a crow, sketch or something like that. I just like his work a lot, and it always reminds me of him because it's I don't know. He's just an interesting guy. But
You, you know, not having met him, when I went to his table with his artwork, there was a guy sitting there, long hair, had the leather bracelets, and okay, hi, I got this art, and are you James O'Barr? He looks at me, goes, maybe, maybe not. And, I didn't know how to take that. I felt my ears starting to get red. I could feel my pulse rate immediately
yeah,
flaming up a little bit because I didn't know how to take this guy. And fortunately, I took him right. He was effing with me, and I realized it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll come back later. I kind of left the area and then roamed around a little bit, and finally seen some other guy come around. It's like, well, that's got to be James O'Barr, and it was so. But
yeah.
yeah, he got me.
He's
I
just
gotta
making
say, he
sure you weren't
got
the
my blood
law.
pressure up. I think he knew it too. He had a big grin on his face about it. It burned me.
Uh, no, I would have done the same thing. But Marcus is right. I did. It was a big wow con. I actually had dinner with he and Tim Bradstreet, and James and Tim go way back too. So I didn't really have to say much. Those guys talked up a storm, and I just got to soak it all. Let's see here. Next up, now I
Ah,
forget who was the artist on this one. I don't recall.
Neil Volks.
Oh, folks. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I picked this up. This was a heritage pickup, and I mentioned to you before I was really into the monster thing. I
Mhm.
grew up with the famous Monsters of Fame one, film one, Shock Theater, all the horror stuff. I think my first comic book ever was probably Gorgo. I'm thinking back, originally, and so again, Universal Monsters really appealed to me. When I seen this on Heritage, I had to have it. And it is just so cute. I mean, you get every monster in the world here if you really look for it. Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein. You got an undead, I would guess, mummy crawling up out of the grave. And you got the bride of Frankenstein, and she's mouthing, men, with a little exasperation. And that's probably because the Invisible Man's probably around there squeezed her in a butt or something. You can't really see him, but he's got to be there. They're all there. So,
Yeah,
but
no, books is awesome. But yeah, this is a fun piece.
yeah, he did this for the 2002 Pittsburgh Comic Con. I found out. I found the flyer, and I got the two of them framed together, the flyer and the art. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah. But Neil's stuff is very fun, and I approached him again after getting this piece. Within a year, I got his contact information, and I really wanted to go after Harley again. I knew I couldn't afford to get like commission from Bruce Timm or somebody like that on Harley, but I felt like Neil Volks could do a really good Harley Quinn, and he's approachable, and he's a fun guy to work with, and this is what he produced for me, and I think it's fantastic. I told him the only thing I told him is how I wanted Harley depicted. I said I want her tongue a little bit out. I want her eyes squinting. I want her taking a serious aim at the Green Goblin. And I want the Green Goblin there for love and games, love potion number 9, trying to court Harley, break in on the Joker's territory. And Harley, nah, I'm not sure she's going to have any of it. We'll find out in the next episode, I guess.
Hmm.
But
No, that came
yeah,
out good. I mean, was this a take-home commission for him?
no, I got a. What do you mean by take home commission? I
Well,
got a
yeah,
hold of online.
you got a hold of him online. Okay, so he did do
Yeah.
it. I wasn't sure if you got this thing at a con or something.
No, I got a hold of him online and told him what I wanted. He sent me some prelims along the way,
Mm.
and yeah, this is what we ended up with. And it's got a lot of hits on your site, a lot of comments. It's a fun piece. People love it. How can you not? I mean, Harley just looks so cool. She looks badass there.
Right. Yeah, I see it's got over 7,000 views on CAF. Well, I mean, I can't say that I've seen the Green Goblin and Harley on the same piece before. So I think you've got an angle here on this one.
Loving games. He's got the rose in one hand, love potion number 9, pumpkin bomb in the other hand, just in case the rose don't work.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and great subject matter for Neil to work on too. I mean,
Yeah, and
the
Neil's still around doing stuff for folks. I'm not putting a plug in for him, but I'm a Facebook friend of his, and I see him still doing commissions and whatnot. So he's a good guy. Seems like. Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely. uh, yeah. Let's see here. So then, I forget. Oh,
Ah,
here,
Cl-
this is an
Clarice.
interesting piece. Yeah.
Yeah, this was from Creepy. It was a story, poetic story by Bruce Jones and Bernie Wrightson, called Clarice. And I think there was, gosh, there had been at least 16 panels cut up. But anyways, he had 4 panels a page, and he cut the panels out in around 1978 to sell each panel individually. And they really are an art piece in themselves individually. Although it makes you wonder what would have been like to have the 4 panels together on a single page.
Right.
My understanding in '78 from a couple different sources, it was ranging from anywhere from 50 to 150 bucks a panel for these Clarice pages panels. And I don't know. I think if anybody read the story, they would probably consider this certainly in the top 3 panels. It's very haunting. The words by Bruce Jones just carry the image so well. And if you've never read the story, it's one you should put on your hit list. It's a great
I've not
story.
read it, I hate to say,
It's
but I have to now.
it,
But I
it
wonder
is
what he was thinking though. I mean, make more money selling them as individual panels versus a page. I mean,
it could even been a party thing, a bar thing. All of a sudden you drink too
yeah,
many drinks. Yeah, let's cut this stuff. Who
let's see
knows?
who.
But fortunately, that many more collectors can enjoy the Clarice story though. So there is that.
Right.
And I was definitely this was another heritage win. Very happy to get this, and I actually had a couple people get a hold of me after the heritage auction and said, CAF people, other Wrightson fans, say, I knew you would end up with this in your collection, and that made me feel good, because yeah, I certainly was aimed at me. I felt, it's perfect dark.
Well, and certainly in the same vein as that other, painting illustration with the pumpkin and the guy. I mean, you don't see those artworks in that style, the rendered in that way too often on the market. So, no, I think this is beautiful.
In this particular story, there's like it's basically a newlywed couple way out in the cabin in the middle of the winter, and the husband gets rip roaring drunk. The wife goes out to cut the firewood. The door slams shut and locks, and she can't get back in. And she freezes to death outside the door. And that's how he finds her in the morning. When he wakes up, he opens the door, and there's her corpse laying there. And so this is it's a dark story, and she comes back every year.
Man,
So
we should have been saving this for Halloween night, right?
yeah, horror stories, man. Things like this that Bernie did gave me tales for my kids around the campfires when we went camping, as when we were younger. So it certainly gave me some ammunition.
There you go. It says short honeymoon. That honeymoon. Sorry. Yeah, that's for sure. Now, Magnola. How does Mike Magnola fit into your collection?
I'm not sure. This is the piece I might have mentioned that I traded something for that I really regretted afterwards. I couldn't believe I did it. I got to believe this has got some kind of pseudo occult religious vibe over me, some kind of karma, where it just took me over, and I'm afraid to get rid of it. It
I
could
see it
be
was
really
used
bad
as on
karma.
a Ouija board. Is that
Yeah,
true?
it's a Ouija board. You can see what they call it, the planchette at the bottom there with a hand.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
2004, he came out with Hellboy, a Ouija board game. And it came out in two editions. There was a cardboard edition, and there was a limited wood edition. Really nice quality. I did buy that. It's so heavy, but I'm not going to pull it up here. But anyways, this was the original art for the back face of the Ouija board itself. And yeah, it's a neat piece. It's beautiful. It's got all your dark occult symbols to it that have skulls, and just a lot going on there, and very occult vibe for the Ouija board.
Dare we ask what you had to give up to get this?
I traded a Rights Includa page from Shadow number 3.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and way my mindset is now. I can just, but it is a very nice Magnolia piece, and I look at it, and I got it framed super nicely, nicer than all my other stuff. It's got the nicest frame of them all. And it's still a centerpiece. This would be probably a grail for a lot of Magnolia collectors. And it is dark, and it's got a lot of inking to it, and I love dark inks, and it still fits. But boy, I regret that page. Oh God. You never get something like that back.
No.
And over the years, I've seen a lot of Magnolias, so there is that. So another reason I can kick myself. But this is a hell of a nice piece. I mean, just.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like Hellboy.
Absolutely. And a unique piece at that. I mean, it's not a something from a comic book, but a Ouija board. Yeah, there's not too many Ouija board artworks on comic art fans. I can guarantee you that.
No. Pretty singular.
Yeah.
My David Peterson mouse guard piece. When I got this one, at the time, I don't know if David Peterson's changed the way he does things, but a commission request on David Peterson has to be picked up in person at a convention. He doesn't mail commissions out. And I pumpkins, obviously I'm into, and for probably 15 to 20 years there, me and the wife were into pet rats. We are, entertained that they're smart. They're just too many health issues over time. We had to get away from them. But we've always had a little place in our heart for the rodents, and so I love Mouse Guard. I love the stories and all that. And I wanted to get a Dave Peterson commission featuring the pumpkins and Mouse Guard, but it had to be picked up in person. And he wasn't coming out this way anytime soon that I was aware of. But he was going to Charlotte to Heroes Con, and I had hooked up with a fellow CAF guy. I think he had inquired about one of my pieces of art, and he had mentioned in the emails to me that he was from this area at one time. And so we kind of, messaged back and forth a few times, got a little maybe online camaraderie going. And I felt comfortable approaching him about, will you go to, Heroes Con and pick this up for me? Because he was going to go anyways.
Sure.
And yeah, he agreed to it. I gave him $100, just, here's this in your pocket. And I gave him another 25 or 30 to ship it to me. And it was already prepaid. And so, yeah, he went to Heroes Con, got it from David Peterson, and then sent it to me. And
did he have to say he was Brian Boggs, though?
I don't know. I don't recall. I asked him, was his CAF moniker is Dave of Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all I know, yeah.
I've been in Dave's CAF Gallery many times.
Yeah, he's still a CAF member. So he's still out there. Well, Dave Peterson did like the piece enough that in his next sketchbook, he put it in the centerfold section and colored it up.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I felt happy about that. And like, say, getting into the center spread part of it seemed like, wow, that's a little plus to it, too. He must have liked it pretty good, put it in there. Yeah,
exactly. It's always good when a commission ends up getting published.
Yeah, I like that. So, pretty cool.
I don't think it's happened to me yet. No,
I think he's underappreciated, Dave Peterson. If you pull up a little bit and look at his ink work, especially in the bottom areas along by the vines and the leaves there, he's got amazing ink work. And he's an unheralded artist, in my opinion. He should be more people into David Peterson. Maybe he needs to broaden his horizons and get a little more diverse than just Mouse Guard too, though.
Oh, he's done. I illustration for a lot of different books. Dark Crystal. He's done some Muppet stuff. I mean, but I love his work too. I have a mouse guard, published mouse guard page, which is just awesome. But yeah, I've loved his stuff since the beginning. I love his approach to, how he makes models for a lot of his interior work and stuff out of cardboard, and then he uses it and lights it. And I mean, I just love his approach. It's like it's a very independent approach to comic book creating, and I mean, which I think he definitely leans into him. And then again, like you said, he has such a rich inking style that I mean, how can you not fall in love with it? I mean, he could be illustrating anything he wants, and he gets to do mouse guard, which is totally cool.
Yeah, it's a nice piece. I love this piece.
And Marcus says his stuff is expensive now, so he is appreciated. Oh no, without question. I mean, I love his stuff. His stuff always does well when he has it in the hero auction, and yeah, try prying a published mouse guard page out of somebody's hands.
They're
It's
going up daily. Yeah, definitely. I've
yeah,
seen that. Cha-ching,
exactly.
cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yep. No, I've out of all the pieces in my, I've X-Men art, and I have other, some really good stuff, but the mouse guard Peterson piece in my CAF gets the most inquiries about selling. It's shocking. I get a couple a year still to this day, and
Cool.
because they're just hard to come by.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate it all the more, don't it?
Definitely. That is very, very true. All right. Now
Yeah,
we get to a piece by Frank. So
yeah.
again, how does this fit into your collection?
How does it not? I mean, this is so dark and cool, Bill. I mean, geez,
It is.
listen to this piece. You can hear this piece making noise. This piece makes noise. You look at it, you can hear like this noise with a little tinkling sound of metal as
Mhm.
the Asian chain whip goes across each of the panels until finally, and there's sexy little Miho yanking it to the bad guy. And yeah, it's just a dark, cool piece. I love Frank Miller stuff. Again, heavy inking. So I'll say that's where it fits in. I love the heavy inking on this piece. All the Sin City pieces are really cool, but I wanted one with Miho. And yes, this one hit on all cylinders. And again, to me, it makes noise. You look at it, it does something different. It's visual and noise at the same time. And that's kind of a cool aspect of a piece of art.
No, I love it. I mean, Frank is a great storyteller, and if you're gonna get something, I mean, this page is perfect. The silhouettes, the chains, sound effects, all of that, and you get
Yes,
me.
this came from Mitch. Mitch is selling quite a few of the Frank Miller pieces over the years, and
Mhm.
yeah, I was really happy to get this piece. It's on all cylinders. I've seen other pieces that maybe at the time might have been able to afford and upgraded, and I just chose not to. I really like this piece. I'm very satisfied with this particular Frank Miller. It hits on all cylinders for me. I like it. It's cool.
So you don't need another Frank Miller piece? Is
Yeah,
that
none of them make the noise that this one makes. This one, again, it's noisy. I can hear it.
right? Right, exactly. Well, that's cool. I mean, sometimes you can be one and done with a particular creator, and that's always a good thing. You know, it would be hard to upgrade from this one, I would think. And this was from, let me see, it was Sin City Family Values.
I think page 103 or something like that. I'm good with numbers, bad with names. But
All right, now I think we have another Bernie Wrightson next. Let's see. Yes, we
oh yeah,
do.
this is a prelim page from Freak Show, and you know, look at it. I mean, you've seen prelim pages by other artists. Are they this kind of detail? This is almost finished art for prelim. I mean, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
I think I got this on Comic Connect. I'm not sure. It had a little foxing on the bottom. It's done on a little bit of lower quality paper. It's not our typical art board. So a little foxing down at the bottom, but just a highly detailed prelim. And this one fits the bill. This is dark,
Oh yeah.
very definitely.
Yeah.
I probably don't get too much darker than Freak Show. That's great Bruce Jones and Bernie Wrightson collaboration again. The two of them hit it off so many times and so many collabs.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of work to put into a prelim.
Yeah, and he's got some notes up at the top, which makes it kind of interesting too. Above the top part of the page there, if you can pull it down, I don't know. Yeah. He writes notes about the different panels, which that's kind of interesting to read that too. It doesn't come out too good on the scan, but each of the panels, he's got a little note there above to remind him of what's going on in that panel and what he's trying to depict.
That's a nice pickup. I agree with Rich. He says he'd love to buy a book of the entire prelims. Yeah, I mean,
sure.
I'd like to see it too. I mean, you get to see his
with
insight
all the notes like that too.
I was just going to say the same thing. As long as the notes were there, that would make it perfect. Yeah, that's fun. You even get the clack 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 at the end there. I mean, that's back to the sounds, right?
Yeah, it gets a little noisy again, don't it? And it's got kind of the same pattern running across the page, so maybe my eye gets drawn to stuff like that. I've heard that with certain collectors.
Now, let me see here. And this one you've had up on CAF for a while, since, well, no, not too long. This is you got this during the pandemic. It was, or at least it was posted to CAF on, what is this, January 1st, 2022.
Yeah, I probably picked it up a year previous to that and waited till January to load it up.
Okay, well, this next piece is from another studio artist. You get Barry Windsor Smith on this one with Sal Buscema inks, no less, from what is this, Conan 10, right?
Yeah, it's a fun page. What drew me to this one, this was on Mike Berkey's website, was the cameo of Jenna and the panel layout. I just really found the panel layout very intriguing, and the last panel, the intricate inking in the steeples and the roofing there and everything, just really caught my eye. I thought it was a very excellent Conan page by Barry Windsor Smith. I traded with Mike on this one. Traded a couple pages over, and that's part of the reason I got the extra wall space, by the way. Traded a 2-for-1 on this one.
Well, there you go. That's one way to do it. I mean,
yeah. I upgraded to something I wanted and got a couple pieces over to him that he could probably deal with better than I could at the time to fit my collection better. I got a Jeff Jones that's coming up too, so I am a studio guy. I am missing a Kaluta right now. I've had a number of Kalutas go through my hands, but that's probably the last wall space. I'll probably be looking for a Kaluta for that one. So, but yeah, that's a great piece. And I know Mike's on your show a lot, and I'm going to call Mike out as a really good guy. In the early 2000s, he was at Motor City Comic Con, and I hit his table as I was leaving the show, and he had all these piles of art there. And again, I was just starting to get into the comic original art. And so I started thumbing through some of his pages and really didn't have any cash flow. I was just thumbing through things and seeing a couple Wrightsons there that were well above my price range of what I was maybe willing to purchase something from him. But I did find a Tales to Astonish number 44 with the original The Wasp page. And I really liked it. It was in the price range I was ready to spend. And I asked him about it. I said, yeah, I want to get this from you, Mike. Well, great. He goes, what's your name? I said, oh, it's Brian Boggs. And hand me the card. And he says, okay, you're all set. I said, well, you can mail it to me. You want my address? No, just take the art with you. Go ahead. I don't want to mail it to you. You're right here. Well, you don't want to take the art home? So,
I've seen
I take the art home. Sure.
I don't know any other art dealer that would do that, especially with people that he doesn't know. But I've watched him do that, so I know you're not. It's his MO.
Very trusting. I mean, I couldn't wait to get home and fill out the check and get it in the mail to a guy like that. But yeah, just so trusting. I walked away in disbelief. It's like, man, don't you realize this is Detroit? People don't do that in Detroit. But
exactly.
It's so cool, and again, I just wanted to mention that in case Mike does see this. I remember that incident, and I thought it was pretty neat.
Well, that's cool. Now, was that back to the Barry Windsor Smith? Was that the first Barry Windsor Smith you've owned, or is that, or had you owned some in the past?
No, that's the only
Was it
one
first?
now. Yeah. I
Okay.
hadn't owned any before that. So happy to get that one. That's a keeper. I've had a couple of people already approach and try to pry that one away from me. Nah, it's not going to happen.
I don't blame you. Now, let's see here. Next up is a House of Mystery page, right? Yeah. And
All right,
another Wrightson, of course.
yeah, very nice, title page. The story invokes a guy that kind of finds like a portal to another world, another plane of existence. And I don't recall the whole story, but basically, I think the portal is in his mind because at the last couple of panels, he's like in I think a straight jacket in the insane asylum, and he's like completely nuts. And that's all I kind of remember from the story. It's been a long time since I read it, but the page itself is an awesome page. Got it on Comic Link. It's got everything Wrightson that you would like. I would think this page would probably be a grail for a lot of people. He's actually got it signed twice in the bottom corner, and actually the original Wrightson up in the black there, they inked that out when they reproduced this in Creepy or House of Mystery. His signature didn't show in that; they blacked it over. So, but it was there. I can prove it. And
That's gorgeous.
19.
You posted this year, so is this a very recent purchase?
No, actually, I'd had this a few years and just decided to go ahead and put it up on the website for other people to peruse. Actually, I hate to say I got this like accidentally, but I kind of put what I call a token bid on it. I put a bid that it wasn't really a wholehearted bid, but it was a way to like maybe follow it along and keep some interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be damned if I didn't win, and it's like, I didn't understand why it didn't go for more than it did, and neither did the seller. He was a CAF member, and like we talked online a little bit about it, and both felt it should have gone for more. And since that time, I've had a lot of people approach me about it. I think it's an awesome piece, and again, I just don't understand. At the time, the market wasn't down necessarily. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But the token bid, good for me. I've been over and I love it. It's a great piece.
Yeah, I've put many a token bid on things over the years, and I have yet to win once. Not once, right? Although I know a lot of people who that works for, and I don't know, certain sites maybe it works better at. I don't know. I haven't bid on a lot of Comic Link auctions.
You know when it'll happen? It'll happen when you can least afford it and you did it and you're committed to it. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I almost had that happen, a couple months ago where I bid like $5,000 on something, and I just thought, oh, there's just no way I'm going to get outbid, and I was the high bidder, up until like 24 hours before the auction. So I was sweating it because I really thought it was going to go for like 8,000 or 9,000, and it only went for like 7,800 or something like that. But I was worried.
Almost a whoops moment, eh?
Right, exactly.
So you know
But
what I'm talking about then, definitely.
yeah, but I haven't had it. I have that. I've got a bid on something right now that I thought was actually kind of serious, but pretty modest at the same time. And I don't know where I'm at, but I know I haven't gotten an outbid notification from Heritage yet. So I'm waiting. And it was not $5,000. It was much less than that. But I might finally win one where I
All
just
right.
threw a token bid on it just to see what would happen. But I'll know by the end of tomorrow night, I guess.
As long as you're prepared to win.
That one I am. Yeah,
All
that
right.
was like a couple $100. But this is beautiful. And congrats. I mean, the idea that something like this could kind of float under the radar, and get you end up getting it for a good price is it doesn't happen a lot these days.
And even this early in his career, the detail in his inking, you can just see like the hints of what was to come with the Frankenstein stuff he was going to do later. His inking is just amazing, so intricate. So to me, that's Bernie. The inking is what I'm drawn to, and the horror. Now this is the one I mentioned before that was on Simon Reed's website back in 2006 when I bought the Swamp Thing origin page. Yeah, I was very attracted to this one too for obvious reasons. I mean, Mike Klug, you got Jack the Ripper, you got Dracula, you got the damsel in distress there. And to me, you got Pluga is best. And I went for the Rice and Swampy at the time, and then somebody else had bought this, and then somebody else I think had bought it. And anyways, ended up with Sean Clancy, and it's been in his collection for quite a few years. And I wanted it. And when you go try to pry a piece of art out of somebody else's collection, you better be ready to pony up. I mean, you definitely better be ready to pony up. And I did. I ponied up my Rights and Swampy origin page that I mentioned before. So it kind of did a flip flop in a way. What I didn't buy 2006, I turned around and traded the one I did buy, and another House of Mystery page. So you got two Rights and pages out on me for this. And some people would say, "Oh my God, the value, the shock." But I'm not into that. At my age, no, I love the art. This is such an amazing piece. And when I did my bar, when I finished my basement bar downstairs like 20 years ago, I fashioned it as an English pub and named it the Jack the Ripper Pub. And I got all this stuff all over the pub that says Jack the Ripper Pub and all that. So, getting this piece, this was like, yeah. And I wanted it. I pushed him for it. He finally relented after I almost broke his arm and made him take my 2 Rysons from me. But
does this hang at the bar?
No, not yet. No, not yet. Because I don't get down there enough. Maybe in the wintertime when I start getting down there more.
I think we all want to see what this Jack the Ripper bar looks like.
This is actually in the center of the opposite wall from the Wrightson wall. It's like right behind our camera here in the very center. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I got a hold of Plug about it because there was always the question, and Sean and me both posted, was it ever published? And Simon Reed in the early 2000s was publishing horror anthology type comic magazines over there in London. And I think he had already done at least one Plug cover. And I had a feeling that he had got this from Mike with the intent of using it for one of those covers, but it never got used. I did contact Mike through Facebook here about a year ago after getting this piece. And he said he recalled it very well. He said it was a fun piece, and that's what he did it for. He said, I did it for fun. And Simon ended up with it. So there we go. But now I got it.
Well, it's very nice, very very Plug, and there's not enough Plug artwork out there. That's the one thing. I mean, I love his stuff, a lot, and it's cool that he's done like some cover recreations and things and whatnot out there. But there's just not enough, Plug artwork on CAF or ever on the market because he's an amazing illustrator. So
I like panel page well enough, but I really love the full page spreads like this. This is just cool stuff to me. Give me the cover quality type stuff.
There you go. Marcus says I can get Planet of the Apes Plug. That's true. Have I ever owned a piece by Plug? I don't think so. But
subliminal suggestion. It's in there now.
Right, exactly. Marcus, works that way. That is true. If there's anything out there that's affordable, that the Plug Planet of the Apes is still out there. And you're right. If I probably were to search right now, there's probably a couple pages available. And I was thinking the same thing, Rich Jennings, that the cat does have a Wrightson kind of vibe to it.
Well, the cat, in the upper left. I wish there was like a rat down on the lower bottom. That's the only thing that's missing. There should have been a rodent in this picture. But the cat, that's very Wrightsonish. It's a cool looking cat.
Oh man! All right, Corbin is also on your list. This I know, Brian. So this is from, what is it? Alien Alchemy. I'm not familiar with the title, but it's Corbin the moment you see the piece.
Yeah, I had to go online and actually read about the comic because I wasn't familiar with the comic either. I fell in love with the art when I found it, but the comic apparently is on the salvage ship carrying the xenomorphs from Alien crash on our planet, and the local populace go into the bowels of the ship to try to pray away the evils that have beset them. And so they go down there with their legate and these couple disciples to try to pray away these demons, which are the xenomorphs, the alien xenomorphs. But I looked through this as when I was getting ready to buy it, and I counted. I think there's like 13 dead bodies here and there across the top. Corpses or whatever, skulls, bits and pieces, and just a nice, cool, dark Corbin piece. And down at the bottom, what really sold me was if you look at the disciple facing us, if you can blow him up, the guy on the left, yeah, that guy. Now look at the look on his face. You know how small that is, that Corbin's working this stuff. And look at that look. I mean, that he can get that kind of emotion from a tiny little, like quarter, maybe 3/8 of an inch head on a piece of paper. To me, that's just amazing. That guy, he cracks me up when I look at him. And, we got the typical Corbin, they call spickle, where he taps his pens and inks and creates all the like dusty type atmosphere around it and whatnot.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a fun Corbin piece. And I felt like I needed a Corbin for the wall. Kind of the same reason I felt like I needed Kelly Jones for the wall too. They had one of those. We got around to that eventually here.
I love this. I mean,
But it makes me kind of.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking about buying the comic book, maybe reading the comic. It looks like it could be a good book,
Yeah,
And if it's got Corbin art, what the heck?
plenty of corpses too. I love these first 4 panels. I mean, the last panel's awesome too, but just the going through the ship, the cobwebs on the corpses is great.
Yeah, you can just let your eye wander up and down the panels looking at all the stuff there. It's just it's really cool. Corbin, he's a great artist. I've been reading a lot of Corbin lately, Neverwhere and whatnot. You to my Jennifer. All right, well, this is definitely a grail. Everybody knows Wrightson and Bruce Jones' horror story, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
In the Warren comics, I mean, he had the Muck Monster, the Pepper Lake Monster, which that's a favorite. I don't know if you've ever really looked at the Pepper Lake Monster, but the inking in that is just wow. Black Cat. But out of all of them, Jennifer's the most highly acclaimed. And one day I got a hold of my computer there and opened up my CAF email, and I had a message from Tom Coker, who had quite a number of Jennifer pages, and asked me if I was interested in purchasing the last page. And after I picked my jaw up off the floor and quit drooling all over myself, and my heart kind of slowed down a little bit, I answered his email. And yeah, I certainly would be interested in getting the last page of Jennifer too, which to me is other than Frankenstein, this is the ultimate, is the Jennifer story for me personally. He's still got a few pages to it. I had a prelim page to Jennifer at the time, and to help pay for this one, which he was very fair to me too. I got to tell you, he was ultimately very fair. I turned over a prelim page, which his Jennifer prelim pages were even better than the Freak Show prelim pages. They were even more detailed. To another CAF member, Mirashoki, Mirashoki, or something like that. But anyways, if you did Jennifer prelims on the CAF search, you would find him. And he's got like 5 or 6 prelim pages now. But I knew he had a number of them. And so I immediately thought of him to send my prelim page to when I bought this one. I didn't need both. And I wasn't being greedy. Let's put it that way. I wanted to share with him because like I knew he collected prelim pages of Jennifer. And I can't believe Tom, he was trying to obviously fund a pricey purchase of some kind. I'd be interested in what he ended up getting out of all the stuff he sold, if this was one of the things he had to sell. But you can't get no better. And I don't want to be macabre about things. But if you could pull up the bottom left panel, pull the artwork up a little bit, and blow it up right there. The last words there, and night closed in forever. I've already got that etched on my tombstone. Now that's kind of macabre. I'm taking Wrightson to the grave with me, Wrightson and Bruce Jones, and that's my subtle way of doing it. And yeah, so that's how much that page meant to me getting this. It was like the culmination of all my Wrightson passion. Almost. This was Grail number 2. We do have a Grail number 1.
Yes,
But that's
we
later.
do.
Yeah, that's a little bit later.
I'm putting that Hiroshi's gallery room with some of those prelims in it, linking in the chat for everybody who wants to maybe take a look at them. They
Yeah,
do
he's got some great stuff there. Really nice stuff. And I helped him. So, yay. I felt good.
I don't want to. I know. I actually. I know. I managed to get a few things out of order for you. So let me see here. I'm going to switch
Put the
back.
Kelly Jones one up next if you got it there.
Yeah, that was what I was going to actually try to switch over to. Actually,
Yeah, I kind of added that one late. Sorry about that.
here we go. So
Yeah, well, you know,
541.
Kelly Jones art is fun. Everybody loves Kelly Jones's art. You know, has he ever released Gotham After Midnight? Any of the artwork from that? You know, I've never seen anything, but
I
I
don't know.
love that story. That's like my ultimate Batman Kelly Jones type story. But anyways, this one I wanted to have a Batman page from Kelly Jones, and obviously I like the darkness. And here we had the Spectre. And I don't know. I don't think he'd get much darker than the Spectre. I mean, he's pretty much the embodiment of the Grim Reaper. And they're playing good cop, bad cop, and they're after 3 killers. And Batman wants to get to him first so he can bring him to proper justice. And unfortunately, he don't get there first. The Spectre gets to him first, and decides that they aren't worth living. That he does his divine justice to them. And so that last panel, I mean, it tells a story just in itself. It's a cool panel there, and certainly goes with the rest of the yard, I would say, and that we've looked at. And you know, yeah, Kelly Jones' stuff. God, you can pay a lot of money for Kelly Jones. Sandman stuff has gone just skyrocketed. You're looking, you know, $20,000-$30,000 for Sandman pages. Some of his better Batman stuff is way up there. And so this, you know, I'm retired again. This was an affordable piece for me and fit the bill. And again, having a Spectre in it, I just thought, yeah, that's dark. I like that. That'll work just fine.
Well, here, I think this might be the other Grail, right?
Yeah, but get the Jeff Jones one too. We gotta get to first.
I do. Yeah, I've got that one as well. But this is the one that was in your ad. I mean, I have it right there.
Yeah.
You used it back in the day, and then so how do you come across this piece?
40 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It first showed up that I saw somewhere like around 2008, 2009. I'm not even quite sure how I caught wind of it, whether it was CAF. You know, I'm getting older now, and my memory, you know, isn't as good as it used to be. But there was a guy in the Midwest. It was either Kansas or Nebraska, or somebody over there had it, and he had a price on it. And you know, I still had the comic book guy in me. Tried to negotiate the price. What a dumbass, you know. So I sent him a price, a negotiated price. Waited for him to get back with me. A week went by. He didn't get back with me. So I got a hold of him. He goes, "Well, I sold the piece. It's gone." So he got his price for it. I should have paid his price. Damn it. You know, bang the head on the table. It was something I wanted forever, and yeah, just a brain fart. So, anyways, it came up in CAF maybe a year later with a guy that deals a lot of collects a lot of art, keeps a lot of nice art, but also deals a lot of art. Passes through his site a lot, nice pieces. And he had this, and it was about a 40% increase over what I wasn't ready to pay the year before. And it's like, oh shit. And I just at the time I just could not do it. And you know, it hurt. God, you know, Bill, it really
We were talking
hurt.
about the housing market before the show started. It's the exact same thing. If you know something sold for X, you know, 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
why just don't make sense today?
And I just couldn't do it. You know, I couldn't justify it.
Yeah.
It's, I always had what I call family money and my comic book money. My comic money was derived from the sales of all the comic books I accumulated early in my collecting years. And so I just couldn't do it. And then it disappeared. So it sold. And probably another year went by, maybe a little bit longer, around 2011, something like that. It appeared for sale in Italy, overseas. And I was like, oh, geez. And it was, naturally, it was even higher. And it's like, damn it, it's coming home. That's all there is to it. It's got to come home. I was like, I took a personal loan and said, I'll pay off the loan, kind of personal loan to myself. I took money out of what I call my family money, bought the thing, and then personal loaned it back into the account and brought it home to the United States. And yeah, it's number one grail. It's not going anywhere. It's with me to the end. So the day you see this go up for sale, any of you guys see this go up for sale, go get a beer, crack it open, and give a toast to me. Because one of your most passionate racing collectors won't be around no more.
Right, exactly. If we
Yeah.
only had a Jack the Ripper bar to sit at while we were doing that toast, right?
Yeah, I wish.
Uh,
But
well, that's, yeah, like Marcus said, does the price ever go down? Of course not. I mean, so, but the third time you were not going to let it pass you by. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think you made
and
the
I,
right choice.
yeah, I
Clearly,
certainly
though.
don't regret it now. It's continued to, obviously, all licenses have continued to jump, 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 jump. And
Oh my,
this piece, when you look at this piece, I can't find no pencil, no graphite. There's absolutely no whiteout on it. It is friggin' perfect. It is one of the most perfect artwork pieces I've ever seen in my life. I had to hold it sideways, like to make sure that, like it's not like printed, and it's not. I mean, it's just perfect. And I don't know how he does that. He was an amazing artist. Yeah, that's
well,
very cool. Monster Men. Um, was done, to my knowledge, at least 3 times. Bernie Wrightson did this for the 74 Edgar Rice Burroughs portfolio. Frank Frazetta did a painted one for, what was it, Avon covers that he was doing in the early 60s or something like that, and did one. And then there was Jeff Jones, did one for the Jeff Jones Fantasy Portfolio, which came out in 78 or something like that.
mhm.
So
Well,
yeah, that's it's a culmination of a grail. It was a hell of a search, and I cost myself quite a few dollars in meandering through the search, but it finally ended up where it belonged. And yeah, based on the piece I picked for my original flyer way back 40 some years ago, I'm very happy to have this. This and Jennifer, I mean, to me, only a Frankenstein page would be better than these 2 pages for me personally. Yeah.
well, I can assure you, we're all very happy for you, Brian, because not many of us get the Grail piece, the thing that you've been looking for a long time. It just doesn't happen, and some people don't even have them, right? They just love collecting art, but when you're after something like that, and I don't know, I mean, and it slipped through your fingers a few times, once from your mistake, so that it's a redemption story now, Brian.
It's a learning lesson too. Definitely. If you see something you want, I mean, it's original art. It's one of a kind. If you even think it's in the ballpark of a decent price, you better go ahead and grab it because it ain't gonna be available again. So you want it, you better get it.
Very true. Now you mentioned Jeff Jones, and so I can show off this other piece. Now, is this in your cap, or is this one that you have not added to the site already?
It's not currently on the CAF.
Okay.
This one I got from Rob Costella, another CAF member. I traded I had a Swamp Thing page with a Patchwork Man, uh, smaller panels of Patchwork, not a big featured Patchwork Man, but a nice, I mean, any Swamp Thing page with Patchwork Man is highly coveted. But I wanted this to pair up with the Wrightson Monster Man. I mean, how perfect is that? They had the
Yeah.
2 of them. And each one has their own take on it. And yet it's the same, it's number 1 and Virginia Maxon. It's the monster and the beautiful girl, and both are beautifully inked. Another cool thing about this, is, you know, I just got this probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, something like that from Rob. But when me and my wife got married, I think it was the second year of our marriage, a Christmas present she got me was the Jeff Jones Fantasy Portfolio that this plate was in. And what was really neat about that is if you're going to have a portfolio, if you can't have number one, the next best number was to have number 200. So how cool is that? That she was able to get me number 200, and I think she got it from the Buyer's Guide for Comic Fandom back then. And I have no doubt she probably thumbed through that, knew I liked Jeff Jones, and bought that for me. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool to have that. And now I've got the original art for one of the plates in there, and the most proper one to have, the Monster Man. I mean, it just goes so good with the Wrightson piece.
It does. Yeah, yeah. Matt Kennedy said it's a great match too. Definitely. You could see the two pieces side by side and be really satisfied to have both of those pieces in your collection.
It's too bad you can't put a poll out. I like to have you put a poll out with the two pieces and pick which one you like better. You know, just to know what the populace thinks. You know, both of them.
It's tough.
Obviously.
I mean, they're both perfect examples from each artist, right? So you could already say that for an illustration, for a monster illustration, it meets those. But then it's back down to subjectivity, right? Do you prefer Wrightson over Jones? Because this is such a wonderful example by Jeff, right? I mean, it's beautiful. But yeah, which would you prefer? I don't know. I'd probably lean towards the Wrightson just because it's Bernie. I don't. It's not because I think it's a better drawing, by any stretch of the means. It's just his inking style was just so lush and fluid. That's one of the, and so rich that I've always been attracted to Wrightson art. I love Jeff's too. His I Am Age strips are, if I could own anything, that's probably what I would love to own from Jeffrey Jones, would be one of those.
Or Ideal. I'd love to have Ideal. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, there you go. So exactly. But so you can look at both artists and they're just equally, great in their talents, and they both have memorable storylines that, you could pick 4 or 5 and say, yeah, I'd love to have any of those examples. I mean, I even like paintings, as not all of them.
Beautiful paintings,
His oil paintings, there's some that are just amazing. I would be very happy to have a few of those as well.
When I was reading the National Lampoons back in the mid-'70s, the college years, they had a lot of Jeff Jones idea strips in there, and they had the Von Bode Cheech Wizard, which Bode, Von Bode. I'd love to have some of his stuff too. Very, very cool. But like I say, I think with the one piece of wall space I got right now, I'm going to be on the search for a Cluda or maybe another Wrightson down the road.
Yeah, well, you had that Kaluta Wrightson, so now you have to have a full-on Kaluta. So sorry, I'm just looking through the images one more. This such good stuff. I mean, you could have. But now, would you say this is you've kind of got to the point where you're really kind of just looking for select pieces in your collection now? So, I mean, as a collector, I mean, you mentioned Kaluta and a few others, but is Kaluta the one that you're kind of like, whenever you see that keyword pop up, you're always going and checking out what it may be? I mean,
Absolutely, and approaching other guys that have some Kalutas too, and seeing how they feel about maybe letting one go, But yeah, we'll work on it. And like I say, if not, maybe another Wrightson. But I think one more passionate pieces in my future sometime within the next year or two. I just I don't know if you're keeping track of the Heritage Signature auction there, but I did sell a very nice piece there. I sold that Daredevil #3 cover by Tim Sale. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh yeah, that did really well, actually.
Yeah, I needed a car. So and not just car. I'm getting a dark horse Mustang. So I'm not getting just any car. I'm getting a supercar.
Right,
and
right.
It's just, I'm going to be 70 years old here in a few months. And I felt like, let's get a nice birthday present for yourself. And to do that, I had to relinquish something. And obviously it was something that was very, very nice piece. I had it for quite a few years.
Yeah. No,
somebody else is going to enjoy it
that's
for a
a very
long time.
memorable cover by Sale. But you knew there were going to be a lot of people very interested in that one.
That
But
particular cover, with Foggy and Matt outside the office shaking
mhm.
hands, and somebody pointed this out to me, it'd be perfect for a lawyer. If a
Oh
lawyer
my gosh,
bought
yeah.
that and had that in his office, what a perfect piece for a lawyer, Absolutely.
Hey, anybody who's consigning their artwork to an auction house, doesn't matter which one. If you can get 2 or 3 lawyers interested in the piece, hey,
Yeah.
let them go at it. You're
And I'd like to think that's who
so
got it.
happy,
I'd like to think a lawyer got it. So that would be cool.
right?
That's who it belongs with, it really does. But yeah, it was fun. And, I don't sell very often. That's like the first time I sold something in years. I've traded a few things here and there, but that's to
Mm,
get something, to
of
sell
course.
something just for the money. No, I'm not into that.
So back to the trade. Rich wanted to know what was the rights include a shadow page from. He said they did a prison story together, like issue 4. I mean, do
This
you
was
remember
from issue number 3.
issue number 3, Rich?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
there you
only
go.
that's only one they collabed on. That's on paper that they both signed as co-creators on that particular one. Now, working next to each other, a lot of times they helped each other out here and there, I'm sure. But that one was acknowledged as number 3, as Wrightson having a large part of the work on that one.
Hmm.
And the page I had was an awesome page. He was being walked to the electric chair um, by the guards, like the long mile, the green mile type thing. And there's all
Hmm.
these ominous shadows over his head. And, there's the electric chair waiting for him at the end. And it was just such a cool page. And I just don't know what came over me at the time, but that's why I'll never get rid of that Magnola. It did something
No,
to me, so I better hang on to it.
right. Yeah, no, I get it. That's but the good thing is are always there's a lot of great Kalutas that come out to the market still. And
Yeah, I'll keep
they
an eye
haven't
out.
reached but they haven't reached the crazy, Wrightson level or Jeff Jones level yet. I mean, um but
It's
yeah,
got to be
that was
something horror related though, included. You did a lot of I'll call it fantasy type stuff too, and I'm not so much into the Cluta fantasy type artwork. It'd have to be something from like House of Mystery or a panel page from one of those two would be just fine. That would be cool.
right. Well,
Still
they're
there?
out there and you still have time. You don't have to hopefully you won't have to sell the car that you just bought to pick up one of those pages.
Nah,
So
didn't do that.
um well, Brian, this has been fun. I knew it would be. Your collection has always been one that I would pop in and check on regularly on CAF because you always had, I mean, anybody who collects rights and is a collector that I want to follow. So I've had you on my follow list for a while, but no, it's awesome we got to chat, and I look
I,
forward to you a Kaluta
I
piece.
figured it out over the years, before this came up, and over the course of time, right now I've got 8 Wrightsons on the wall, but I've owned 18 Wrightsons over the years. And, some I've regretted getting rid of, but some I got rid of to get better Wrightsons. So that's a good thing.
Hmm.
I did have the cover to, was it Secrets of Haunted House number 44, where he's like running up the hillside and all the creatures are chasing him up the hillside. I also had the title page to the Crate in Creep Show.
Oh
That was
yeah.
a pretty neat page. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But again, the color just didn't work for me, and that's part of the reason that one had to go bye bye. It's like color clashed with all my black and white horror stuff.
If it didn't look good on the wall, it wasn't. Just wasn't meant to be, right? It
Exactly.
had to
There's a method to my madness. We'll
It's a
call
cool
it
image,
that.
though. Yeah, I'm sure there are many people in the chat who remember what the crate image looked like. I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
that's a great story
my
too.
dream rights in peace, because I can dream small, would be one of the Stephen King werewolf spot illustrations. It doesn't even need to have a werewolf on it, right? Because that would be asking too much. I'll take almost anything from that, only because they're memorable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and it's something that I remember picking up. I don't even know if I bought those at a comic shop. I think I bought them at, like, at a B. Dalton bookseller or something like that in the early '80s or something. But that'd be it for me. I'd be content. to have one of those. But I do know a couple collectors who go after those pieces, and yeah, I could probably never compete. It's gonna have to be a private deal for me. I'll never win one at auction, that's for sure.
That's the hard thing these days. It's so hard to win at auctions. You know, there's a lot of investors have gotten into the market, and I think things have changed over the last 10 years, certainly. And you know, it's helped the guys that are ready to sell things, certainly, but it hasn't helped the guys that are ready to buy things that maybe aren't making six figures, you know, a year and stuff like that. Pretty
Yeah.
tough for them. So
I mean,
yeah, the
you get
market's
collectors
changed.
going in together on buying stuff, and that just makes the prices even harder, to imagine. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's the nature of our hobby today. You can't control the buyers and stuff who come in or what their intentions are. But at the end of the day, we've had a boon the last 5 or 6 years with really choice pieces coming to the market. I mean, that's been like
Yeah.
the fun. It's just, even though you can't own 99% of what's coming out there, just seeing it. I was looking at, we're going to be doing an illustration auction preview for Heritage in a few weeks, and I think it just opened up the other day. So I started looking at it. I'm like, my God, this is probably one of the best signature illustration auctions I think they've ever had. I mean, it's amazing the quality of the work that's coming out in
The
all
last signature
all
auction
these
they
genres.
had, last signature auction they had in September, I think I counted 7 or 9 Frazettas was in that auction.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean, you know,
crazy.
that's a lot of Frank Frazettas. Jesus.
It
Yeah.
was, and they all did
Wow.
pretty well. I mean, maybe one or two didn't go as high as I thought they were going to go. The ink pieces. There was the one Kubla Khan piece I thought was going to go for like 15,000 or so more than what it did, but by and large, everything else went higher than what I thought. So you
You
can't
know,
ever.
I read an interesting story on one of the pieces. I imagine you looked at a lot of the pieces of the Frazettas. There's the one, it was the cover of a Creepy or Eerie where it's the woman on top of the Empire State Building, like
Yeah,
King Kong, and she's got the planes circling her.
yeah.
That was the piece that broke up the relationship between James Warren and Frank Frazetta.
Oh,
Because
really?
James Warren always promised to give the pieces back, the artwork back to Frank Frazetta, and that one he didn't. That one he auctioned off behind Frank Frazetta's back, and it pissed Frank off. This is what I've read, and that was it.
Piss Frank
So
off.
yeah, pissed the king off, you know. But what a cool piece too, though. It's pretty neat. All this stuff, though. I love
It
Frazetta. And
was,
you
and that
said
was a
you're
half
going to
million
meet
dollar piece too.
Boris here before long, aren't you?
What's that?
Are you going to meet Boris? Did you say Vallejo?
Yeah. Well, he always exhibits at IX in PA. And the IX show is a week. It actually starts a week from tomorrow. It opens on Wednesday evening, and so yeah, I've gotten to meet Boris a few times there. He always exhibits. He doesn't take a lot of art anymore. It's usually like just 4 or 5 paintings, but like he'll bring 4 or 5, and Julie Bell sets up in the same space as he does, and she usually will have like between 5 and 8 paintings hanging up there too. So it's always just cool to see. I've gotten to see quite a few over the years in person, and well, I can't. I won't. I have a surprise for next week, but I can't. I won't reveal it yet. Everybody will get to learn about it hopefully after I get back from IX. But yeah, I love Boris's stuff, and such a nice guy. I mean, and I don't know too many people who own Boris paintings, but yeah. I mean, come on, who didn't buy his some of his calendars from the '80s, for crying out loud? It's either them or the Hildebrandt brothers, right? So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned I was buying a lot of the art books back in the late '70s and early '80s, and certainly Boris. You know, he had a number of art books out. You know, Frazetta, Chris Achilleos, Brian
Mhm.
Proud. There was some cool art. I even had a couple Salvador Dali books. He had some pretty interesting stuff too. You know, Dali. So, but
Yeah,
you know, I
definitely.
guess that's why I always was more into the art than the superhero comic line. You know,
Mhm.
I like the artwork, and you know, that's where the love's at, the passion. So glad I got rid of my comics. I'm glad I got original art.
Well, I honestly, if you ever could make it to the IX show, I think it's one you would enjoy because it is.
I thought
Uh,
about it. Yeah, I
you've
considered
s-
coming down
you
there.
know it. You've seen like the artists that go there. I got to meet Achilleos there um, the year before he passed. I mean, it's just it's a unique. You just those artists you don't get to see them exhibit too often, and then you get to see them in a kind of in a gallery setting like that, where they're set up as if they're at a con. I mean, there's just nothing like it. And,
Pretty informal and everything, eh?
very, very informal. It's like if you want to get a room at the hotel, the host hotel, because everybody's at the bar in the evenings. I mean, it's at Halloween. So they invariably, there is at least, there's some kind of costume thing that they do there. I forget, like on Friday nights. I mean, they really make it a fun event. And PA is kind of spooky in its own little way, right? So you're in the middle of a, podunk PA because it's in Reading,
Right.
and you're in an old abandoned. I mean, the building's called the Goggle Works because they used to manufacture goggles there in the early 1900s. So it's this old
Sounds
warehouse.
cyberpunk or something.
It's weird.
Steampunk.
I mean, it's the weirdest setting, but it works so well. I mean, it really is an amazing show. I encourage anybody who loves traditional, painted artwork that spans the spectrum from Magic the Gathering paintings to there's some Marvel artwork that'll be there because there's a couple artists, Dave Palumbo, Jeremy Wilson, who do work in comics today. But more than anything, it's just more of dark or fantasy kind of angled artwork, and it's cool. You get sculptures and everything that are there too. So
That sounds like fun.
yeah, definitely. All right, well, we'll call it a night, Brian. But again, I appreciate you doing this, and I'll keep following your CAF gallery in hopes of seeing a clue to pop up there sometime
Yep,
in the
keep
near
my fingers
future.
crossed.
And
I won't
everybody,
negotiate on the next one either. I'll just
no,
buy it.
you've learned. Even if you have to take a
Yeah,
little bit of a loan, it's far better to do that than to pass it up. Yeah.
that's for sure. Yep.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be, of course, back at it again tomorrow. But we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. It was a lot of fun talking with Brian. And hey, you're getting lots of pats on the back. Great collection. And yeah, we get it. All right. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you again soon, and have a good evening.
Okay. Take care, bro. Appreciate it.
Good night.